Let's talk about something most men never get taught, but absolutely need to understand if they want to stop spinning their wheels in dating, relationships, and even their own self worth. This isn't about pickup lines or fake confidence. This is about rewiring how you move through the world as a man. Because here's the truth: women crave men who don't chase them. Not because they're playing games, but because those men are already chasing something bigger: purpose, mastery, legacy. And when you're locked into that, when your energy is calibrated toward building something real, something powerful, something that doesn't depend on anyone's validation, women feel it, they sense it, and they respond to it. But most guys never get there. They're stuck in the loop, trying to be liked, trying to be chosen, trying to be enough. And that desperation, it leaks, it shows, it repels. So let's break this down. Let's build the mindset, the strategy, the story that flips the script. Because once you understand this, once you internalize it, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start choosing. You stop being the guy who hopes and become the guy who decides. Now, I'm not saying you should be cold or arrogant or dismissive. I'm saying you need to be rooted, grounded, unshakable, because the men women crave aren't the ones who bend over backwards to impress them. They're the ones who move with purpose, who know who they are, who don't need anyone to complete them. And ironically, that's what makes them magnetic. That's what makes women lean in. Because women, like anyone, are drawn to strength. Not the loud kind, not the fake kind, but the quiet, steady kind. The kind that says, I'm good with or without you. That's the energy. That's the aura. And it's not something you fake. It's something you build through discipline, through clarity, through work, through becoming the man you were meant to be. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I was at rock bottom. No money, no status, no confidence. I was chasing women, chasing approval, chasing anything that would make me feel like I mattered. And every time I reached, I got rejected. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because I didn't believe I was. And that belief, it shaped everything: my posture, my tone, my choices. I was broadcasting insecurity, and women picked up on it instantly. But then something shifted. I stopped chasing. I stopped trying to be liked. I started building. I started focusing on my craft, my body, my mind. I started showing up for myself. And slowly everything changed. Women started noticing me, not because I was trying to be noticed, but because I wasn't. I was locked in. I was moving different. I was becoming someone they couldn't ignore. And that's the paradox. When you stop trying to get them, they start trying to get you. But here's the catch: you can't fake it. You can't pretend to be indifferent while secretly hoping they'll like you. That's just another form of chasing. You have to actually not care. You have to actually be focused on something bigger. And that takes time. That takes work. That takes a complete rewiring of how you see yourself and your value. Because if your value is tied to whether or not a woman likes you, you're always going to be unstable. You're always going to be reactive. You're always going to be chasing. But if your value is tied to your mission, your growth, your discipline, then you become untouchable. You become undeniable. You become the kind of man who doesn't need to be chosen because he's already chosen himself. Let's go deeper. Women are hypergamous. That means they're wired to seek the best option available, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, energetically. They want the man who's ascending, the man who's evolving, the man who's not stagnant. And if you're stuck, if you're complacent, if you're waiting for a woman to validate you before you level up, you're already disqualified. Because she's not looking for a project. She's looking for a partner, someone who's already moving, someone who's already building, someone who's already becoming. And if that's not you, then you've got work to do. Not for her, not to impress anyone, but for you. Because the moment you start leveling up for yourself, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your presence expands, your options multiply, and suddenly you're not hoping to be chosen. You're choosing. Now, I know some of you are young. You're in your late teens, early 20s. You might have a girl. You might think you got it figured out. But let me warn you, if you're not building, if you're not growing, if you're not evolving, you're going to lose her. Not because she's evil or disloyal, but because she's watching, she's observing, she's comparing. And if she sees other guys your age grinding, hustling, leveling up while you're coasting, she's going to drift, she's going to detach, she's going to upgrade, and you're going to be left wondering what happened. So don't get comfortable. Don't get complacent. Don't think having her means you've arrived. It doesn't. It just means you've got a head start. But if you don't capitalize on it, if you don't keep pushing, you're going to fall behind. And she's going to notice. Let me give you another story. There was a girl I used to see at the supermarket, cute, smiling, giving me energy. I felt the vibe, I felt the pull, and I made the mistake of going back to get her Instagram. I grabbed some bananas I didn't need, walked back in, made the move, and instantly I felt the shift. Her energy dropped, her intrigue faded. Not because I did anything wrong, but because I broke the spell. I showed my hand. I revealed that I was chasing. And that ruined the mystery. That ruined the tension. That ruined the power dynamic. And I learned something that day. Sometimes the best move is no move. Sometimes the best play is patience. Sometimes the best strategy is to let her wonder. Let her imagine. Let her come to you. Because when you do that, you stay in control, you stay in power, you stay in your frame. Fast forward a few months, I'm at the same store. She's working the self checkout area. I'm doing my thing. One of my old friends walks in, daps me up, starts talking like I'm a celebrity. And I see her watching. I see her eyes light up. I see her curiosity spike. Because now I've got social proof. Now I've got presence. Now I've got intrigue. And I didn't do anything. I didn't chase. I didn't beg. I just showed up. I just moved with confidence. I just let the world validate me. And she felt it. She saw it. She responded to it. That's the game. That's the strategy. That's the power of not chasing. So, what does this mean for you? It means you need to stop trying to be liked and start being undeniable. It means you need to stop chasing women and start chasing mastery. It means you need to stop hoping and start building, because when you do that, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your presence expands, your options multiply, and suddenly you're not the guy who's trying to get her. You're the guy she's trying to get. And that's the position you want to be in. That's the frame you want to hold. That's the power you want to cultivate. But it's not easy. It takes time. It takes discipline. It takes sacrifice. You might go years without getting the girl you want. You might feel lonely. You might feel overlooked. But that's part of the process. That's part of the journey. That's part of becoming. Because when you finally arrive, when you finally become the man you were meant to be, you'll look back and realize it was all worth it. Every rejection, every setback, every lonely night, it was all fuel. It was all training. It was all preparation. And now you're ready. Now you're undeniable. Now you're the man of the hour. So stop chasing, stop begging, stop hoping, start building, start evolving, start becoming. Because women crave men who don't want them back, not because they're playing games, but because they're playing life. And life is the ultimate game. So play it well, play it hard, play it with purpose, and let everything else fall into place. And here's the part most guys never hear. This isn't just about women. It's about how you move through every room you enter. It's about how you show up in your own life, because the truth is, the way you chase women is usually the way you chase everything. Approval, status, relevance, you're chasing because you haven't built the gravity to attract. And gravity isn't loud, it doesn't beg, it doesn't perform, it just pulls quietly, relentlessly. And if you want that kind of pull, you've got to become the kind of man who doesn't need anything from anyone. Not because you're emotionally shut down, but because you're emotionally fortified. You've done the work. You've faced the mirror. You've built the foundation. And now you're not trying to be seen. You're impossible to ignore. Hard times are here. Jobs are disappearing fast. And if you lose yours, you could be homeless in a few months or even a few weeks. But it doesn't have to be that way. Check out Angry's Creator Academy and learn how to build your own online business using YouTube to grow it. And get the free creator blueprint when you sign up. The link's in description below. Go check it out now. Let me give you a frame. Imagine two men walk into a room. One is scanning for validation, the other is scanning for opportunity. One is hoping to be liked, the other is deciding what he wants. Same room, same people, completely different energy. And women feel that. They feel the difference between a man who's trying to earn their attention and a man who's already earned his own respect. That's the shift. That's the leverage. That's the power. And it's not about being dominant. It's about being decisive. It's about being clear. It's about being rooted in something deeper than attraction, because attraction fades. But alignment, that's magnetic, that's lasting. That's the kind of energy that doesn't just pull women, it pulls opportunities, allies, momentum. Now, let's talk about the loop most guys get stuck in. They meet a girl, she's into them. They feel the high. They start investing emotionally before they've invested strategically. They start bending, compromising, performing, and slowly they lose their edge. They lose their frame. They become reactive. And the girl, she feels it. She sees the shift. She senses the insecurity and she starts to pull back, not because she's cruel, but because she's calibrated to strength. And when that strength fades, so does the intrigue, so does the respect, so does the connection. And the guy is left confused, hurt, bitter, wondering what went wrong. What went wrong is simple. He stopped being the man she was drawn to. He started chasing her instead of chasing his mission. He started orbiting her instead of building his own gravity, and gravity wins every time. Let me tell you something most people won't say out loud. Women don't want to be your purpose. They want to witness your purpose. They want to feel like they're joining a man who's already moving, already building, already becoming, because that's where the safety is. That's where the excitement is. That's where the respect is. And if you're sitting around waiting for a woman to validate you before you start leveling up, you're already behind. You're already disqualified because she's not looking for a project. She's looking for a partner. And partners don't beg. They build. They move. They decide. Now let's flip the lens. What happens when you stop chasing? What happens when you start building? Everything changes. Your posture changes. Your tone changes. Your decisions change. You stop asking, will she like me? And start asking, does this align with who I'm becoming? You stop trying to impress and start trying to express. You stop performing and start embodying. And that shift, that's when the world starts responding differently. That's when women start leaning in. That's when opportunities start showing up. Not because you're trying to get them, but because you've become the kind of man who attracts them. Let me give you a tactical breakdown. Every time you chase, you signal scarcity, you signal neediness, you signal that your value is external. And that signal, it's repellent, it pushes people away. But when you move with purpose, when you operate from abundance, when you calibrate your energy toward mastery, you signal strength, you signal clarity, you signal that your value is internal. And that signal, it's magnetic. It pulls people in. It makes them curious. It makes them respect you. It makes them want to be around you, not because you're trying to be liked, but because you're undeniable. And here's the paradox: the more you chase, the less you get. The more you build, the more you attract. So stop chasing, stop performing, stop hoping, start building, start deciding, start becoming. Because the man who's locked into his mission doesn't need to be chosen, he's already chosen himself. And that energy, that's the energy that changes everything. Let me give you one more story. I was mentoring a young guy, smart, driven, but stuck in the loop. He kept asking me how to get this girl to notice him. I told him, stop trying to be noticed. Start becoming someone she can't ignore. He didn't get it at first. He kept trying tactics, texting strategies, social media games, and every time he got the same result: nothing. Crickets, silence, rejection. Until one day, he stopped. He deleted her number. He stopped checking her stories. He started hitting the gym, started building his business, started showing up for himself. And within a few months, she reached out. She saw the shift. She felt the energy. She responded to the gravity. And he didn't even care anymore, because by then he had leveled up so far that her attention was just a bonus, not the goal. That's the win. That's the frame. That's the power. So if you're listening to this and you're stuck in the loop, here's your exit. Stop chasing women. Start chasing mastery. Stop trying to be liked. Start being undeniable. Stop hoping to be chosen. Start choosing yourself, because when you do that, everything changes. Your energy shifts. Your presence expands. Your options multiply. And suddenly, you're not the guy who's trying to get her. You're the guy she's trying to get. And that's the position you want to be in. That's the frame you want to hold. That's the power you want to cultivate. But it's not easy. It takes time. It takes discipline. It takes sacrifice. You might go years without getting the girl you want. You might feel lonely. You might feel overlooked. But that's part of the process. That's part of the journey. That's part of becoming. Because when you finally arrive, when you finally become the man you were meant to be, you'll look back and realize it was all worth it. Every rejection, every setback, every lonely night, it was all fuel, it was all training, it was all preparation. And now you're ready. Now you're undeniable. Now you're the man of the hour. So play the long game, build the gravity, move with purpose, and let the world respond. Because when you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop performing, you start embodying. And when you stop hoping, you start deciding. That's the shift. That's the leverage. That's the power. And it's yours if you're willing to earn it.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.